Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 85 of the cast. Tonight, we're going to be going over Ant Man and the Wasp Quantumania. It's the first movie of Phase 5 of the MCU. We're going to be going over any other nerdy news from the week after. I got to give a quick spoiler warning as well for the podcast tonight. The movie only came out on the 17th, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, please come back another time. Tonight on the cast, it's myself, Finto, and it's Alex, aka Zaberwolf. Without further ado, here we go. Alex, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going, Finto? How you been?
I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
Busy as ever.
Hell yeah. How was the week?
Just a lot of work, but managed to squeeze in that ticket for Quantumania, which was awesome. Did you happen to go to an AMC theater, or do you have
No.
AMC theaters?
We do have a couple of AMCs, but I didn't go to one for this. The company that I like to go to, they're called Odeon, and they have, like, the one that I go to has probably two of the best screens in the country. So I am always watching my movies on the one of probably the top three, I'd say, screens in the country. So weirdly enough, I don't know if this happened to anybody else, but when I bought my tickets, I pre-ordered them weeks ago. And when I bought them, there was no mention on the ticket of the movie being 3D. So usually it'll say 2D or 3D, and it just said Ant Man Quantumania, blah blah blah, IMAX, whatever, screen 9. And then literally when I got there, I went in, and like there was an usher there, and he hands me a pair of 3D glasses, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "This is going to be in 3D." I was like, because I don't really like 3D. Like, you're a glasses wearer as well. Like, I wear pretty big glasses, as you can see, and having to put the 3D glasses on over my glasses just kind of pisses me off. But to be fair, and we'll go through the movie as we break it down, but like there was a lot of cool scenes in the film that kind of justified 3D, I suppose. It didn't look
Gotcha.
too bad. I was kind of happy in the end that it happened, but I wasn't planning for it to be 3D. Did you see it in 3D or 2D?
No, I saw it in 2D. What I really like to do is, I know most people want to see the show in IMAX, and therefore those tickets kind of get sold out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I shoot straight for the Dolby Cinema because not only does it have a fantastic screen and, like, surround sound, but the recliners are just way better. If you go to the IMAX one, because they haven't updated it yet, like, there's no recliner seats in there. It's just all like sit up seats,
Okay,
and
yeah, I'm not a
it's
yeah.
uncomfortable.
That's, like, to be honest, we're so spoiled now when it comes to cinema. I can only speak for myself, but I won't watch a movie unless I'm in a leather reclining chair, with a table with my
Yeah.
food sitting on it. Like, to think about it, like, in the last, like, 10 years ago, that'd be a dream. You wouldn't even think of it. You'd be sitting on these little shitty fucking wooden fold-out chairs with a cushion fucking pin to it, but now it's just like recliner or nothing. Like, and I know we pay more for the tickets now, but I don't care. It's worth it.
It's the comfort, you want to be able to sit down and like relax and enjoy the movie and not feel like you're touching someone's arm or like your ass is hurting the entire time.
Facts. Absolutely. Um, we usually do, again, there's usually more than two of us here, so I usually like to do like a round table when we've got new content. But I suppose I'll just ask you, what did you think of the movie? What's your score, first of all, and then we'll kind of go into what you liked, what you didn't like.
Honestly, I give this like maybe an 8.25, like good 8.25, because like it was a fun movie. Like, I really didn't have many issues with the show itself. I think the way that they handled Kang was like fantastic. I thought that the story was well driven, and with all the characters put out, like they each got their own moments to
Hmm.
talk, to kind of create like an introspective, and to put themselves out there as like, hey, I'm a character, I'm here to act and whatnot. They're not just in on the sidelines. Like, you got to see a lot of Cassie, which I absolutely had fun with Cassie. I
Yeah.
didn't think I was going to enjoy her as a character because I figured maybe she'd be a bit whiny and whatnot. But
Hmm.
she actually did. She actually held her own. And with Janet, like, I fucking Michelle Pfeiffer just like stole the show in certain points. Like,
Yeah.
she had a fantastic time. Like, and Michael Douglas, I just love that guy. Like, I've never seen a movie and felt like, man, I don't like Michael Douglas.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, Yeah, like I can't say I loved the movie. There was I had a lot of problems with it, but there was some fun aspects to it. And I don't think that the movie deserves the hate that it was getting on the lead up to it after the critical reviews. Like it just makes me hate Rotten Tomatoes even more. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it just like it was just unfair. The movie was sitting on like 45% in the critical score before it went live, and I think like the first audience scores were in the 80s, which is kind of on par to where what you were ranking it. So like,
Mhm.
like how is there such a divide? I just don't really understand. Now, when I watch the movie, I don't really let like critical reviews dictate what I'm going to think of a film. Like I do go in with an open mind, but at the
Mhm.
same time, I don't know if the fact that I knew so many people that I whose opinions I respect hating it, I don't know if that maybe did make me have a bit less kind of a like ease when I'm watching these like terrible scenes. Like there was just some of the stuff was just so bad, and it felt really kind of cheap. Like the quantum realm seemed a little too fake. Like I saw gotta give props to Josh from the Den of Nerds. He did a very good breakdown on it. Now it was quite negative, a little more negative than I would be on it. But where he was speaking about how like during the scene where Cassie and um uh, Scott are both blown up real big when they're giants and they're like hugging each other and stuff. It's like there's no scale in that scene, so like you don't even know that they're giants only for the fact that they said it and their voices are a little like slower. But like
Right.
there's no scale. Like it just felt it felt like they shot the whole thing on the void and it was just so fake. And obviously it has to be fake, of course, but like you could put some more buildings in certain scenes and stuff like that and like build the background more to kind of make the scale work, whereas it just was the abyss in
And
the background and nothing to kind of keep the scale down. And
I mean,
Jesus,
there was a lot of destruction though, like during that entire like
that
tirade, which
that scene was fine. That's not the scene I'm talking about, but just even I don't know, like even the bits when they're going into the quantum realm and they're falling down, it did like think about how much better the first Doctor Strange movie was, and that was made in what 2017, 2018. Like, and
Mhm.
that was just way more of a spectacle. I don't know, I feel like the MCU projects that are coming out now are just they're made on a budget, is what it feels like when I'm watching them, and there was definitely more bits that I didn't like than I did to what I did like. Paul Rudd was funny, like the comedy in it was quite good. I saw a lot of people
Mhm.
online saying that there was too much comedy in it. I don't really agree with that. I
Really?
think I don't think there was like I think it was okay. Like it was what to be expected in a Paul Rudd movie. I think
Mhm.
wasn't a big fan of Cassie's performance. I kind of don't think that the actress she was in like Supernatural for like 2 seasons, I think. She
Mhm.
played like one of the main character's daughters, and I've known her in that for years, and I've always thought that like she's a okay TV actress. I don't think she's like a blockbuster movie actress. And again, I don't know who I was watching a breakdown from somebody, and they were kind of saying like it felt like the rest of the cast, because we know the cast are so good. Like you see Paul Rudd acting beside Robert Downey Jr. and beside like all these big like A-list actors, and he's a good actor. But when in this movie, they just all seemed like they had to kind of step it down a notch to kind of match her.
Really?
Yeah,
I never really felt that at all. Like I just felt like it was just like well graded acting. Like she's a young character. She doesn't know much. She doesn't have a lot of skill on her, and she actually like takes charge at times, and she's like trying to be a hero like during certain moments, and she's doing exactly what Scott did when he
yeah,
was like a burglar. And so like I see the reflection there, and for the most part like I think that she did great. Like I like of course it's not going to be like A-list, like she's still up and coming, but like she did a lot better than you would expect. Like when I saw things from like Iman Vellani, like I think that Miss Marvel could have been a better character, and I felt like Kamala wasn't as like spontaneous or inspiring as she could have been, or even like heroic. And there were moments where like I just felt like I it just started to feel flat. And then I see, I forgot the person's name, but like playing Cassie, like she's killing it. Like I thought she was doing a great job because she's actually putting herself out there. She's not putting herself on the sidelines and then making herself a kind of like woe is me character or like a look at me kind of character. She never really put herself out there as like someone that like, hey, I'm a character too. It was fluid. It worked, and I think that like ultimately it worked out better because by the end she's like learning a lot more by the end of the movie, especially with Scott, like, telling her to do the jump tap or,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
works. Like she's like, holy shit, it does work. Like, all
Yeah.
right, I got to practice and whatnot. And she's up and coming. And I think that works really well for that character. Whereas like you have all these other season characters, you have Scott who like understands what the hell's like some of the things that are going on, but he's still kind of oblivious at times. But that's all right, man. That's what we've got. We've got Michelle Pfeiffer playing Janet, and she's doing a great job. But the only thing I would say that was like a bit of a miss was the fact that like they were kind of holding off the reveal for much longer than it should have been. I think it should have been a lot more fluid. It felt like it was really like, hold on, like literally the director or like the writers being like, hold on, wait, just wait. The reveal's gonna come. Just wait. Like I can't tell you right now. Just wait. And it's like, why? Like just feed us a little bit, feed us something, give us something, inch us in there. Like
Hmm.
don't just wait until the finale and then like explode. Like no, not this the end bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Like for me, like the best parts of the film were definitely Kang. Jonathan Majors was incredible. I think he was honestly the best part of the film. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I didn't go in thinking that this was going to be like a top 10 MCU movie anyway because I didn't even like Ant Man 2. I thought I've seen Ant Man 2 once, maybe twice,
Mhm.
and like the movie has zero rewatch quality for me at all. And this movie was just, yeah, it was kind of fun. I got to talk about it though. Jesus, how bad was Modoc? Like
Uh,
laughable, dude.
dude, dude, honestly, I'll tell you right now, I did not hate Modoc. I don't think it was bad. I really don't. I
Oh my
think
god, it
that
was terrible.
dude, the general population will look at Modoc and laugh and say like, "Oh, it's so bad, it's so terrible." But you have to remember that's a comic book character.
I
There are
know.
much different characters in that world, in that spectrum
Yeah,
that looked way goofier than him, and they didn't even try to use like different voice modulators for that because that could have been like a really big trash fire if they'd have modulated the voice. Like, can you imagine if it was like kind of like this and
yeah,
I am and it's like it could have been that.
yeah,
And I feel like people would have been like, you do a normal face person that was like Darren, and
yeah,
I'm like, I get it. Like you put Darren in here, Darren transforms, becomes Modoc. It's not the exact same way as like the original way he was created, but fuck it. Like just give Darren a shot like at something. And I liked it. Like it was a cool way to kind of put him in there as Modoc, and that's not the only Modoc that we can have. I mean, they could still work around and maybe make a Modoc that's like actually within like normal size Earth.
hmm,
But like honestly, like he didn't overdo it. I don't feel like it like pushed anywhere. He did look like he looked like his goofy character self in the comics.
yeah,
The only thing is maybe like they could have darkened the skin a bit to show like maybe there was like a bit more of a mutation, like a pigment of the skin. Um, but like I love the scene with Modoc and Kang where like Modoc is trying to talk as if he's like, oh yes, I'm one of them. I'm
yeah.
a
I'm
villain,
a
just like Kang.
partner.
I'm
Yeah,
a partner. And then Kang
yeah,
just like fucking knocks him aside, and
yeah,
he's like, you don't speak when
yeah,
you're around me, and that shows the power difference like between the two villains. And he
yeah,
shuts the fuck up throughout the whole time. He says not a word, and I'm
yeah,
like, okay, that's great writing, because if you think about it, like if he'd have talked at any point during the time being, and Kang like ignored it, like
yeah.
that would have really wrecked it. But like honestly, dude, like that like Modoc is not meant to be taken seriously. He's not a character to be
Oh,
taken
I'm
seriously.
well
The
aware.
only the only time he's ever taken seriously is if he's literally almost about to win. In which case, a lot of the times it's Spider-Man, Captain America, I think in some cases Hulk, and other such heroes. Like they do battle with Modoc because Modoc can be a force to be reckoned with, but he's one of those characters that like he's very intelligent, but he's just not there.
Yeah.
It's like when you see he's not exactly like Scorpion or the Lizard kind of levels where he's like at the ground. He's kind of like mid tier. Like he's getting like mid tier. Sometimes he reaches higher tiers, but like it's really just like a better version of those ground enemies that you fight in video games.
Yeah. Like I just it was like when the helmet first came off, I actually burst out laughing in the middle of the theater, and
Oh yeah,
I
like
was
he's so stupid looking.
it was quiet, and I was the only one to laugh, bro.
Wow.
There was a dude sitting beside me who I think was like a diehard Ant Man fan or something, and
Mhm.
like he looked at me like with these devil eyes. I thought he was gonna kill me, like. But I just couldn't believe it. Like I looked over at my girlfriend and she was just shaking her head. She doesn't even know who MODOK is, but she's like, "What the fuck are we watching?" Like,
But
it was
that's
just so
yeah.
funny.
But that's the thing, like that character that's literally a human character that was
Yeah,
mutated
yeah,
by in the comics it was mutated by the Terrigen bomb where the head became so large that the rest of the body didn't kind of,
yeah,
correlate to that and grow to the same size. So like he had to sit in the chair. So it's
yeah.
not like a machine, it's not like it's an actual person. So like I love the way that they did that. And yes, I agree with you, Finto. I fucking snick like I didn't laugh out loud, but I fucking snickered because it was just
I
it was
laughed out
ridiculous.
loud, dude. And like, even like, it doesn't look like Corey Stahl, and it didn't sound like him either. And I even went onto IMDb after, and he's listed, but it's like an uncredited list for the film.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's really weird. I was like, did they potentially use a different actor then or something? I don't know what the hell was going on. But dude, oh god, it was bad. And like, look, I think if the MCU had it on their vision board and they're like, okay, we got to put MODOK in somewhere, this is the best place to do it. Like, of course, like this is. It felt like I was watching an episode of Rick and Morty down there in the quantum realm. Like it was ridiculous.
Well,
I could, I
yeah,
like go on.
like that. It's funny that you mentioned the whole Rick and Morty situation. This entire situation was literally Rick and Morty.
It was like the gooey dude who was like, "Oh, I've got holes now." Like that was ripped. That was ripped right out of a Rick and Morty episode. Like that was crazy. And what I find funny is like there's a few of the writers in the Marvel like writers room are now from Rick and Morty, but I don't think any of the guys actually worked on Rick and Morty who did this, which I thought was funny because it's like you would think that the other project, like the Michael Waldron projects or the other projects that would have Rick and Morty references in it, but this one just it genuinely to me felt like a live action version of Rick and Morty.
Yeah, and that's part of why I kind of really liked it because yeah, it is like dealing with quantum mechanics and you know how Rick and Morty always deal with quantum mechanic type situations where they're going from like universe to universe from like they're tiny, they're max size, they're like
Yeah,
going to different places. It's fucking like it's fun, it's awesome. It's one of those things that Ant Man can do, and they're kind of diving into that, and I really like that. Um,
yeah,
it I want to go back to Kang, and I want to say that I'm kind of I think the acting was great with Jonathan Majors, but I think they are trying to play on a little too hard with the idea that you have to be similar to what Thanos was. In which
mm,
case you have to be this like slow talking character that, doesn't necessarily, like they have this plan and they want people to follow them and they believe that their plan is foolproof and whatnot. But like with Kang is a very chaotic character, like super chaotic. Like there's multiple variants of him. There he goes back in time, becomes a pharaoh. Like he goes back to the present time, and like almost like basically destroys himself, a version of himself. Like later on, he meets like other versions of himself that are supposed to be better than him. Like Immortus is supposed to be like a better version of him when he was
hmm
Ramatud. Like he continued his reign as like pharaoh, and like those are cool. Those are cool moments, and I know we're gonna see Kang the Conqueror again. It's just
have to.
yeah, we definitely have to. It's just like I want chaos. I'm tired of this like you don't know what you understand within this world is true. Like it's I'm done with that. I'm fucking done.
Hmm
Like we need to stop having this like everything needs to be balanced the way it is. Like we did that with Thanos. Kang is not that. Kang is here to destroy worlds that he deems to be unworthy of his rule or just don't follow his respect.
Yeah,
And that's kind of what happens like when he comes to present as Kang. In the comics, is like he's kind of reached this point where he's finished ruling the future, And so now he's going back to the past or to the present time, and he
Yeah.
needs to rule a more healthy Earth. And so like we're not going to get that because he was thrown into that time orb, which I can't remember what it's called, but like it's a little convoluted. It's a lot of the things that you would see in the comics are not being portrayed here because they've reached a point where they're like, oh shit, we're kind of like we've kind of sped through a lot of things that could have happened in between these sources that could have made a lot more sense over time. Like the whole Modoc thing, like that's a Terrigen bomb situation. A lot of the things that we've seen so far have to do with the Terrigen bomb, and they're trying to remedy that with like other shit. And you can see it's like it's really hard to do that because like you have so much source material like with all that stuff with the Terrigen mist, the Inhumans, all that stuff that occurs.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge deal. And so like you kind of throw that part out and it's like, well, like how do we rewrite all these things? And it gets really hard. So like now I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but in the sense like losing a lot of source material creates all of these different like retcons in a sense
Yeah.
for like movies, and then you have to that's why Kang is not chaotic and you know really all powerful and conquering. Like he gets angry, yes, and those moments were like fantastic. I love the dialogue that they had and whatnot, and but it's just it was like I just wanted a little more destruction from him. I wanted him to go like absolutely ape shit insane and show off like the best of himself.
Yeah. Yeah, like the MCU are kind of known though, right, for kind of retconning or slightly changing or like pulling just like tidbits from the source material and kind of going down their own direction.
Hmm.
The Civil War we got was very different to the comics. The Infinity Gauntlet was very different to the comics, and I don't know if this is. I know there's like rumors and what like Kang Dynasty is going to be about and stuff like that. Like, and I think this movie kind of confirmed that the Kang the Conqueror is going to potentially become like a Beyonder or something. And I think they're going to do Secret Wars very different. It's going to be Kang's going to be the one that brings everybody to the Secret Wars planet and get them all to fight together and stuff. Like he's going to have the powers of the Beyonder and stuff. So it kind of makes sense. I think that is where it's going to go, and it's going to be quite different to the comics tellings of Secret Wars. Um, but like I think Jonathan Majors, he just kind of proved to me that he's definitely got what it takes to be the kind of big bad of this phase. And even we got to see in the two after credit scenes him acting in, I think we saw 4 different variants of Kang like talking. So we got to
Hmm.
see kind of his range, and it was really impressive. Like we saw the 3 of them at the council talking together. They're like, "Oh, the Conqueror's dead. It's great. We can rest easy now." And then when it obviously the end credit scene, not the mid one, the end one with Loki and Morbius. Like I wasn't expecting that at all. I didn't know that was coming, and then we saw Victor Timely and stuff. That was fucking epic. Like I loved that. I was like, hell yeah! So that's obviously going to link in with Loki season 2, and
Hmm.
uh, which then I presume will link in with Deadpool 3 and the Deadpool 3 and with Kang Dynasty. Like I think like it's all coming together.
Right.
Um, and I think like what some of the people who like were some of the critics were kind of rating this film as like a trilogy movie for Ant Man, and then other people were saying like you can't really think of it as Ant Man 3. You got to think of it as just like part 1 to the Kang story sort of thing, or part 2. Technically, Loki's probably part 1, but like I think if you just take it as that as just the first step in the next phase, I think it's okay. It did what it needed to do, but as like I don't know, like as like the end to an arc of a trilogy for Scott Lang, maybe it wasn't as strong as it could have as it could have been. Like I think Ant Man started a lot stronger, and him in the Avengers movies and stuff like that. Like he seemed to be a much better character to me rather than him going out solo on his own.
Mhm. Well, that's the thing, man. Is like this to me isn't a trilogy anymore. Like
Yeah,
this isn't a like a 1, 2, 3 situation. This didn't end with the end of whatever story that they had, like per se. I mean, they finished Janet's story, but
yeah,
they still haven't like completed what they needed to complete in terms of like what Thor did, because what Thor did was like improve himself, improve himself, improve himself, improve himself, and then ultimately run into the big bad. and that's the end of his trilogy there. And then you have Thor: Love and Thunder, which is after the events. And so with Quantumania, this is after the events. So that like there was technically no trilogy. This is after the events of Infinity War. So anything after this, if you didn't make 3 movies before that, I'm sorry, it's not a trilogy. This is a new story. This is a new part of the timeline itself that's creating, the atmosphere and the tension that we'll ultimately see in this new saga between, like, for Kang. And so that's how I see it. I know most people, like, they always have this mindset of like everything comes in threes, but I don't see it this way. And in terms of what Kang did, in terms of like all the things that he's done and all the variants of himself. And I know that you were saying that he's, potentially going to be the Beyonder. He's going to incur Secret Wars. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. The only thing is that all the things that they retcon that we just talked about, it's just it's so fucking hard. And this is why I'm telling you, like, it's so hard when you try to retcon so much, because I know that we're going to get Doom very soon, right? Like you feel it too, like it's coming. Like
Yeah.
we're going to get Doom eventually. But do you understand how important Doom is? Like, Kang doesn't do time tech, like he doesn't fuck with time until he fucks with Doom's technology. Like, he literally goes to Doom, gets his technology, makes a suit similar to like what he wears in order to travel back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, Doom is essential. Doom is essential. Like, Terrigen Bomb is essential. Like, all those essential things, and they have to rewrite so much. So it's like it gets to a point where like my comic book brain is just like, this sucks. But like the fan in me is just like, yeah, okay, I'll accept it.
Yeah. Did you notice in the mid-credit scene where they were all like teleporting into the Coliseum or wherever they were? It was they were using the same tech that the 838 Reed Richards
Right, right,
it
yeah,
basically invented. So and like is it which Kang is it that's Nathaniel Richards? Is it Kang the Conqueror or which there's a variant
yeah.
of Kang? I'm not sure which one it is. Who's
No, it
actually a descendant of Reed Richards.
yeah, that is the same Nathaniel Richards. He goes back in time to become Ramatut, and then he goes back into the present time to meet Doom and like get more of the technology needed to like continue his work.
Yeah.
And then he changes over time because he realizes he needs to change his persona and becomes King the Conqueror. It all fits in. Like, we're gonna have to get the Fantastic Four in pretty soon.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the Reed's technology, like, that's because of that. Like, it's all reminiscent, like, that he's the descendant of Reed Richards,
Yeah.
and his name takes place after the father of Reed, which is Nathaniel Richards. So like, it's a nice callback.
Hmm. What do you think of like I was like my brain was kind of racing at the end of the film when I saw like Owen Wilson and Loki, and I'm thinking like we now know that Owen Wilson's going to be in Deadpool 3, so it's like what's going to happen in Deadpool 3? I know I'm kind of the going
Oh
off the
no,
Ant Man topic a little bit, but like
it's all
I
related.
it is I like to be honest, like this movie is okay. I will rewatch this movie, but I think that it's kind of it's just a stepping stone. You know what I mean? It's just
Mhm.
getting me more excited for upcoming projects, and I think Deadpool 3 is going to be the project that really, hopefully, fingers crossed, changes everything for us, because we're in a pretty bad place. I think all Marvel fans can agree we're in a pretty bad place with Phase 4, and Phase 5 now has not started the way a lot of us have wanted it to start. I think we all prayed that it was a little stronger start for Phase 5, and Feige has come out during the week and has actually said we're slowing stuff down. We're going to start delaying stuff.
Mhm.
We need to focus more on the projects that we have, and we know for a fact as well that that's why they rewrote the Blade movie, and was because Mahershala Ali like literally got in touch with Feige, going like, "Bro, where are you? Like, you're not involved in this film at all. Like, what's going on?" Like, he didn't attend any meetings. He had no kind of input into like the script and stuff. And then I believe he literally read the script and went, "Yeah, fuck this, we're rewriting it." So it seems like he is getting more involved now. And I
Mm.
think, he's pumping the brakes a bit because I think, anyone can see when you go back and you just look at a list of phase 4 stuff, like a lot of it didn't hit. And I think that they realize now that they have to start putting out better stuff. And if that's delays, like I think the Marvels got delayed a couple of months, and I would not be surprised if a couple of the shows get delayed. And then we know as well a few of the projects that were meant to be shows are going to be movies. And I think we're going in the right direction, but I'm just kind of wondering and worrying, like, when is this actually going to happen? Because like there's, Secret Invasion's already done. Is that going to be like another fucking She-Hulk? Like, what's going to happen there? You know what I mean? And there's like a
Right.
few projects that I think are finished, but it's like, are they actually going to be good? Like, because I think a lot of people were banking on this, like phase 4 being over and the shit kind of projects being done, but I think that there's still a few there. The
Yeah, man.
damage, yeah, I think, like, in the chat, like, the damage is already done. And I think, yeah, for the most part, I think the next probably year of projects are going to be very kind of hit and miss. Like,
Mhm.
I wonder what Loki season 2 is going to be like, because that's finished filming, and the Marvels is finished filming, Secret Invasion's finished filming. Like, there's a lot of projects out there. I think Deadpool 3 might be the first project that they're going to be putting the proper care into, because I know Feige came out during the week as well and said that confirmed that will be in the MCU and rated R. It's the first rated R project in the MCU, and that was probably the best thing that he said this year so far, to be honest. Because I like, Deadpool's got to be gruesome. It's got to be gory. It's got to be bloody. From what we hear, we're getting a more vicious version of Wolverine as well. So he's going to be a lot angrier, a lot more kind of berserker Wolverine, which like is needed.
I
So
mean,
I'm
it's
I'm
going to be
del- I'm
more Logan style, right? Like in the sense.
yeah, but I think even worse, like, as in, even because in Logan, I still, like, I think he was angry, but he was old and he wasn't as strong. Whereas
Mhm.
this is going to be a younger version of him from a different timeline, and I think he's going to be a lot more vicious. Like, so
Mhm.
I'm very excited for that. I think that's where they need to go. Projects like that, and we keep talking about this, but like projects like that, projects like Blade, projects like Daredevil, these all need to be rated R. We need to be seeing Matt Murdock kicking the fuck out of people and putting people in the hospital. Like, like, I did enjoy him in She-Hulk. I thought he was the best part of that show, and I loved how acrobatic he was, and it was very kind of comic booky. He like is in the comics. Daredevil is basically as agile and flexible and like as Spider-Man, pretty much. His spider, like, his sense, his like hearing and so on, and his sense is as powerful or even more powerful than Spider-Man spider sense. So the fact that we saw him flipping around and like jumping off buildings and all, I was like, yes, this is amazing. This is what Daredevil should be. And like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in Spider-Man 4, and like, he's using his staff to actually like web swing beside Spider-Man. Like, that would not surprise me at all. So like,
That
I'm excited, bro. I'm excited. Like, it's gonna be
and
amazing.
that's exactly what we need, Pinto. Like we
Yeah.
need all that. We
Yeah.
need those. We need the duos that actually matter. We need that like that friendship that you see from the heroes when they fight alongside each other. And
Yeah.
we saw that in She-Hulk, and it worked out pretty well. Like we had fun with those characters. But because it was only one episode or two, like it just it fell so flat afterwards, and it turned into this hole, like this void. Like it just like you had something, and you could have went with that. Like you could have went in that direction. And I don't understand this whole spiel of like you don't want other characters to steal the show. Motherfucker, this is Marvel. Like there's so many fucking characters. Like
Yeah.
you could have a comic of Spider-Man and Green Goblin can steal the show, even though he's the villain. Like Green Goblin can steal it by like talking to other villains such as like Scorpion, Lizard, and whatnot, and like make those guys more important than when Spider-Man shows up on the comic.
Yeah.
It's important that you build upon each character, and they
Absolutely.
don't do that. It's just so fucking destructive. Like they just want to one up each other all the time, and the directors and story writers don't want to do that for them. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch like our heroes be like, it's like in Lord of the Rings. Remember when Gimli and Legolas are like counting how many people they took down?
Yeah, I love that.
Like how
That's in Two Towers. And it's like, I'm on 47, and he's like, what? Like, that is amazing. I love that. Yeah, I love that. I love those movies, dude. But
That
that's
still only counts as one.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude, it's so good. I only rewatched the extended versions of them recently, and just it's like 12 hours of movie watching, and I regret nothing. I don't regret 1 minute of it. It was amazing, absolutely
but
amazing.
but you get what I'm saying though, right, Fincher?
Yeah, yeah,
Like we've
yeah,
talked about
100%.
this with Hoffman in the past before. Like give us a handful of people. We don't need a whole crowd. We just need a handful.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I want to be in a room with like Daredevil, like Punisher, and like I don't care, Captain America or Spider Man. I don't give a shit.
yeah.
Just these people that like
Team up,
Captain
bro.
America's Captain America's for justice. Like Daredevil's protecting his city, and Punisher just wants to kill everyone so that they don't ever do it again. Like,
Yeah,
and it's just like it's those three that could have clashed with each other. We're like, oh fucking kill them, and he's like, no, we got to just take them down. And
yeah,
and it worked. Like you saw that in the Daredevil series.
yeah.
Like every time
Absolutely.
Daredevil was like, "No, we don't kill people." Like it was
Yeah,
so dramatic.
yeah, dude. Speaking of the Daredevil series, like I think the rumors out there is that Fisk is going to become the mayor of New York, and then that's going to lead into like Spider-Man 4, and they're going to connect them that way. I'm like,
I
bro,
love
like
that.
this is yeah, I love it. This I was like, this is it. And then we know as well that like Harrison Ford is going to be playing Thunderbolt Ross. He was on talk shows during the week as well, like talking about it, like and confirming it. So like that's official. And they're like, I think he was on like Jimmy Fallon or one of these shows, and they were kind of saying to him, like, like, do you know anything about like your role in Marvel? And he's like, I can't talk about it. Like, but he is confirming that he is going to be in Captain America 4, and I think the insider rumors are that he's going to become the president of the United States. So we're going to have the Red Hulk as the president of the United States, dude. It's going to be epic. But think about that. We got Thunderbolt Ross, who's kind of a villain in his own way, and then you've got um like Fisk in New York. So like all these kind of villains are going to be like the leaders of the US. So like what that's going to leave the MCU in some serious state, like
Well, and that's the thing about Red Hulk is yes, he starts out as sort of a villain because he has all this power now, but it turns into a Venom situation. Like he becomes an anti-hero.
yeah,
He's like, I'm the big bad now. I get to do whatever I want because I'm in control now. And that's
yeah,
all that Thunderbolt Ross wanted to do, but his methods were so like strong and for like experimental like purposes and
yeah,
containing people and making them do whenever like his bidding whenever. That's what makes him the big bad. But ultimately, when he becomes Red Hulk, you can see that like he'll work together with people, especially if it means protecting his country and protecting the earth. Like
yeah.
he'll straight up do it. Like it's but we've yet to see that. And I'm excited to see Harrison Ford take care of the mantle. But at the same time, I'm wondering like how much time does Harrison Ford actually have? Like he doesn't look like he's gonna die at any time soon, but like
No, no,
he
I don't
like
think so.
he's definitely got some years on him.
Yeah, he's 80, bro. And like honestly, I had the exact same mindset as you a couple of weeks ago, right? But I've started watching Yellowstone, and like I'm big into the Yellowstone universe now, and watching like 1883 and 1923. I'm watching all the cowboy stuff, and Harrison Ford's in 1923, and the fucker's riding around on horses and everything. Like he doesn't act like he's 80 at all. And apparently, like, from backstage, like, behind the scenes on that show, he was riding around on horses and everything. So, they're in Montana in the winter shooting this show. So
Mhm.
like he's out there, bro, and he's doing a new comedy show on Apple as well called Shrinking with like Jason Segel and stuff. And now he's got this. He's going to be in at least 2 movies in the MCU. So like and obviously sorry, Indiana Jones as well. Like we can't forget that. But like the dude's acting like he's come back strong, and I don't know why. Like I kind of thought to myself, Jesus, did he run out of money or something? Like, why is he doing so many projects? Because it seemed like he was kind of gone after Star Wars. Like, you didn't really see him popping up in anything. And now it's
Mhm.
just like, he's in blockbuster, like cinema, like summer movies and stuff like that. Like, Indiana Jones is going to be a massive hit this summer. And then he's got like 2 Marvel movies, and he's like all over the TV as well. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I think he's going to do, like, he's probably going to do a really good job. And, if you think about it as well, like, they could do a story where like after his 2 movies he just becomes the Red Hulk permanently, and they just use his voice and just keep him as Red Hulk the whole time.
I'm
you know
totally for that.
yeah,
100% for that.
full CGI
And
character, and then you could use AI like at this stage and just AI his voice in for the whole thing. Like, and Harrison doesn't even need to do anything. He just collect it. He can just collect a paycheck for his likeness.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and and for those kind of situations, it makes me hopeful for the fact that, there are rumors that they're going to try to fix Hulk in the sense that like they're going to revert him back to his savage form.
Yeah,
And they're going to have like these the moments that we've been waiting for with Hulk and Banner again, because we haven't seen anything of the sort since the Incredible Hulk
yeah,
the 2008 film, and a little bit from the Marvel's Avengers, movies where we see in the first one and Age of Ultron, we could see some of the combat that we get from him.
yeah,
But it's like it's one of the it's I don't know if it's that movie trope or whatnot. It's the same thing with Captain Marvel. Like we don't send out the big guns until like near the end of the show, which to me is a cop out. Like this character is so powerful and so strong. Yes, like I get that. Like I love Hulk. I would love Hulk to win it like every single match possible. But the best parts about Marvel comics and about Marvel movies, especially because we can see it from the Infinity Wars section, is them losing. Like that was the most important scene in the entire saga, was them losing.
oh
Like
yeah.
Endgame ended great. Like we all had a fun time, but a lot of people still talk about Infinity Wars and how
I was
like they
blown
tried
away.
so fucking hard. They
Yeah,
did everything they could, and it just still wasn't enough, and they
yeah,
lost for the first time in a long time.
yeah,
And and people love that. Like I love that. Like when you see Civil War, like there's nobody won. It like everybody got fucked. Like it's like Iron Man was utterly defeated. Like Captain America had to go into hiding.
yeah,
Like it wasn't a great time, but that was a great movie because of that.
yeah.
Because you show the internal conflicts and all the things that they struggle with, and then ultimately they get back together and be a superhero team again. And like that's what drives us even crazier. Like it's so great.
Do you think so? Talking about like the kind of golden age of the MCU, do you think that Marvel can get back to it? Do you think it's
Of
possible?
course.
Yeah,
Yes. We just need story writers and directors to not care about the character like in their daily life.
yeah,
Like that was one of the biggest like hard hits that I ever got, especially from She-Hulk. And I tell this to my girlfriend all the time. Like, don't get me started on She-Hulk. I will talk and rant about it on
yeah,
like all day. But just to kind of give a little like a little tidbit of what I'm talking about. The writer and director for She-Hulk didn't want to write a hero show. They didn't want to
yeah,
write a show about a superhero struggling with superhero daily life.
yeah,
They wanted to write a story about someone who mutated into a Hulk like character, who is a cousin of the main Hulk character, who
yeah,
had all those struggles and ultimately doesn't care and wants to live a normal life, have a relationship with someone, and cares so much about having a relationship with someone that they will spend 9 episodes for it.
yeah,
It's not fun. Like
yeah,
like we didn't sign up for this. We signed up for fights. We signed up for comic book superheroes fighting each other, or fighting villains, or solving crimes, or like she could have even solved crimes. I don't care if she had turned into a detective at some point and started investigating shit behind closed doors, like just like in Daredevil. Like it's just give us a hero.
yeah,
Don't give us a crying person.
yeah. What do you make of this comment from the chat here? I gotta say,
That
like,
oh
yeah,
yeah, they don't make movies for movie fans anymore. Streaming wars is too hot, and Disney needs subscribers. I absolutely agree. That like Disney Plus is a fantastic streaming service, but it runs out of it basically is like like memory. It runs out, and
yeah,
they don't have much left to work with, and so they're like, just throw whatever the fuck you can out. And it's like, well, okay, well, who do we get for this? It's like, well, use this character. They were really good in this movie. So like, well, yeah, sure, okay. But in turn turned into like this whole thing of the like it's like the artist who's like, I only draw what I want to draw, in the sense, and I will listen to nobody else in that perspective. But this is a group situation.
yeah,
Like you can't be an artist in a movie or a show unless everybody else can have a hand in that artistry. And it like it's fucking it's bananas. It's ridiculous. Like Moon Knight, I don't know who did Moon Knight, but fucking keep them, because Moon Knight was fantastic. Moon Knight had nothing to do with the fact that, like, yes, we heard that like the main character and the side character used to be married, or they are married. Cool. Did we hear about that again at any point?
No.
Not really.
Yeah.
What did we focus on?
Yeah.
The fucking the villain, the main reason why we're here.
Yeah.
And for the fact that he has mental issues, like he has dissociative identity disorder, because it's a character, like you're caring about the main character and the villain and the plot. I don't like anything else. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Just give us the plot, give us the villain, give us the hero. Maybe afterwards we can talk about like our relationships and whatnot. But like right now, we got shit to do. And that's sort of what you see in Ant Man, even though you see it in Quantumania, like, yes, they're family, they're hanging out and they're together throughout the entire time. They're not really talking like, oh man, I love you. Why did you do this? Why couldn't you have done this? Like, it wasn't really that. It was just like, how the fuck do we get back home?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, and the underlying thing, excuse me, was like at the point where he's like going back into Quantumania, at the point where he's inside that probability matrix.
Yeah.
And just millions upon billions of him start splitting.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not like copies of him or anything. They're just different probabilities that, yes, exactly. Yeah. But it all creates a singular form, and they all work together at the point when they realize, shit, my daughter's up there. Like, that's my family. I'm here to save my daughter now.
Yeah.
And so they all collectively go, like, we got to go. And then they
work
do
together, like the ants. I thought that was a good, like, kind of comparison to in the first movie, you know, the way he could control the ants, get them to do what he wanted. It was like he's now getting to control all the variants of himself, or all the possibilities of himself. I thought that was very clever. It kind of rolled it back to the first film, because like, MODOK even comments on, like, how is he doing this? How is he controlling them all? And I gotta say, it was hilarious when the Baskin Robbins version of himself just popped up.
He popped up, yeah, because that's a version of himself that never like continued to. Yeah.
That made me laugh, dude. I got a good laugh out of that. Just as well, we didn't even speak about him, but what did you think of Bill Murray in the movie? I was kind of disappointed, if I'm being honest.
Okay, but that's Bill Murray. So a lot of people like like everyone's gonna love Bill Murray. Everyone's gonna think that Bill Murray is a fantastic person. I do like his acting at certain points, but he is one of those actors who's like, I don't want to be here forever. Please kill me off as soon as possible. And he wanted that to happen in Ghostbusters 2. Like, he didn't want to stick around the entire time. And then when they try to do another sequel, he's like, unless I'm dying, unless I'm dead or I'm dying, I don't want to be a part of it. And so you see that, like, he just kind of pops up, holds them hostage for a bit. You know, the Kang, the Kang security comes in, and then he's like, sorry guys, like, you know, you guys left me here for so long. Like, I'm a lord now and whatnot. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like, he was double crossing in the sense.
Yeah.
And I think it worked well, especially because, you know, they grew that monster out, and then the monster started like tossing him around and killed Bill Murray basically. So great scene. I think it worked well. It was quick, it was easy, and it like, it gave that anticipation, or like this foreboding kind of concept of like, everybody hates you right now, Janet, because of what you did.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that scene.
Yeah.
Also,
go on. Sorry.
I want your perspective on this. Did it feel kind of like a lot of the shit was taken from something that you could have seen on Star Wars?
Yes. So the movie for me felt like a live action Rick and Morty, which I've said already, but it also felt like that scene where you first meet Bill Murray's character. I felt like I was walking into like a cantina in Star Wars, you know, like that's what it felt like. So yeah, it was a mix between Star Wars and Rick and Morty, but in the MCU.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, it was just, I kept looking over at Katie, and I was like, are we watching Star Wars right now?
I got a real Grandmaster's vibe off Bill Murray's character as well, and it was kind of just, it felt a little like it was done already to me. Like I was just like, I was a little disappointed with his with the character. Like I think his performance was good, but I thought the character just felt like it was being reused. It just felt like the Grandmaster to me. Like it felt like Jeff Goldblum's performance all over
Well,
again. You know?
well, that's how I felt about Kang. So like some of these actors just want to live off of the other characters that did so well
Hmm.
and try to like emulate it again and see if they can basically do the same performance without effort.
Yeah,
Not to say that Jonathan Majors didn't put effort. I'm just saying that the direction that they went with Kang
the
isn't as
Conqueror.
chaotic as I wanted. Yeah, I wanted him to be a conqueror, to be angry, to be like, I don't care, just like get me what I want, like start yelling at people and just be like, I'm
Yeah,
the conqueror and whatnot. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's how I see King the Conqueror. Like he's a strong character that just wants you like just get it
ruthless,
done. Yes,
ruthless. Yeah,
ruthless character. And yes, like all rulers need to have a moment of clarity in order to persuade people to be with them. And so like we see that. But as it got further in, it still turned into kind of like this moment of like, I'm very somber and I don't understand why you continue to do this. It- but, but at the end, we see that chaotic, like the angry side of Kang, like when the armor's off and he manages to get out. Which, by the way, that was kind of weird. Like I thought he died, like from getting attacked by the ants.
yeah, yeah,
But but it goes to show how powerful he is. He managed to escape the ants
yeah.
and he pummels Ant Man, which is one of my favorite scenes because it's like as good as Ant Man is and as strong as he can be, considering like all the technology gives him additional strength.
Yeah, but only when he's
It's
small, right? Like when he's normal size, Scott is just a normal dude, pretty
right.
much.
And so like when he shrinks down, he has the power of like I think 10 times himself.
Something like that, yeah. And then
And
like
then with
that's where he's talking about the motion of like, expanding back up and using that momentum to throw your punches and stuff like that. But when
yeah,
he's like a normal size, like I think anyone could beat him. Like I, it's quite worrying. Like so when I genuinely sitting there in the theater, it wouldn't have surprised me at all if Paul Rudd's character died. Like I thought maybe
it,
that was where it was going. And then when the
well,
Wasp came back in at the very end to save him, I was like, oh shit. Now the two of them are going to be stuck in the quantum realm. I was like, okay, that's a really good place to end the movie. And then
right.
there's going to be a struggle to get them out of the quantum realm, or they're going to have to try and figure out a way to get out themselves, blah blah blah. But then the portal just opens back up 1 second later. Like Cassie's just like hitting away at the keyboard. It's like, oh, I got the portal open, let's go. And it just felt like kind of rushed and kind of silly at the end. I was like, I wouldn't have ended it that way if it was up to me.
I agree, but it was because Feige found out that the ending was leaked and that they were supposed to actually stay within the quantum realm.
Hmm.
But because Feige found out that it was leaked, Feige did his thing and he's like, "Nope, we got to change it now. We got to make it so that he gets out." But it kind of works in a way to where like when you see Scott come out, it's like at the end of The Graduate when you see like the two characters, they run into the bus and they sit down and they're like, "Oh, we did it. Like, we stopped the marriage. We're happy together. We love each other and whatnot." But then they sit down and they're like, "Well, what does that mean? What does that mean for our future? What do we do now? Like we just started a relationship on destroying a relationship."
Yeah.
And so like that's how I see it with this. Like with Scott, like his inner monologue is basically like, shit, did Kang die? Is Kang dead? We just saw him get sucked in. Like
Yeah.
what and then it turns like it basically the director going or the story going like, don't worry about it right now. We'll come back to it later. Because then he goes, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it's
That was very funny as well. I did enjoy that scene. Like the opening scene and the closing scene of the film, like were quite funny. Like I think they were comedy done correct. Like I don't really understand people's criticism of it saying like, it was too goofy and stupid. Like I think when they're in the quantum realm, I didn't think that there was much comedy there at all because there didn't really like there shouldn't have been and there wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really understand. Look, while I don't really enjoy the film that much, like I actually want to take time soon and I want to actually do out like my like definitive list of the MCU, like, and I'll rank it and put it up on Discord or something like that. But like I was thinking about this movie and I'm like, that probably doesn't even hit my top 20.
and that's
Like I think
fine.
yeah. Yeah.
It was like for me, it was fun.
It's
I
just the
don't have
fact
a
that
definitive list.
it's just the fact that the first film in Phase 5, which is supposed to be like, the start of the greatness and here comes the Kang Dynasty and all, it was just a little like little heartbreaking that it just wasn't the start that I hoped it would be.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. It's not a strong fitting point where it drives you forward and makes you feel as if you're super excited for the next show.
Yeah,
But I do have to say the after credits kind of saved it a bit.
yeah,
Giving us that perspective of like, okay, so we got a glimpse into Loki season 2, and now we've seen all the Kang variants sitting together in a council, or
yeah,
they're in a coliseum, and you have Immortus, Ramatut, and the cyber version. I don't think they really named it, but like it could ultimately like work itself out and be like, okay, so this is what's going to happen ultimately, and so now that we have the perspective, we can kind of move on.
hmm
And so, but it's still that moment of like, I like, even me, like, I'm the way I'm trying to explain it, I'm like, yeah, it's like this, it's kind of falling flat.
yeah. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Like even those two end credit scenes, like they should be getting you absolutely hyped, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, cool. Like I don't really know what's coming next. So, like I always thought that the beauty of the MCU, and it's why you sat in your seat and waited for 10 minutes of like credits to roll at the end, because you needed to see the little after credit scene because it told you what was coming next. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it was always something to look forward to. And I think this one, actually, the final scene with Loki and Morbius, I thought, or Mobius, was brilliant. I was like, okay, this is great. This is going to tie into season 2 of the show. I'm like, this is great. But the middle scene, it just kind of felt all over the place. It's like, why are they all meeting there? Like, why are they all screaming and everything? Like, it didn't really
Hmm.
explain what was going on. It's like, like the Conqueror all like says throughout the film, like, it's like, if you kill me, or if I don't get out, you're still going to have to deal with the rest of me. Like, so, there's going to be something happening. Obviously, the Conqueror is the worst version of Kang, but these other versions are obviously going to get up to some serious shit as well, because he's warning them that, like, you're either going to have to deal with me, or you're going to have to deal with all the others. So,
Hmm.
like, there's shit coming either way. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they haven't really done, and this has been throughout Phase 4 as well. There haven't really been any like after credit scenes that have got you absolutely pumped for what's coming next.
Hmm.
Yeah.
and
So,
and and it's like you said, Finto. It's kind of like we're at a kind of like a sad point where we're
yeah,
not really too hyped. Yes, it's fun like that. We get a movie. We're coming out. It's coming out. We get hyped for it because it's like finally we get something we want to watch that's going to like contribute to something that's going to push us further into the story.
yeah,
And yes, this movie did, but not in a way where we were satisfied. It was in a way
yeah,
where we were like, okay, all
yeah,
right. But it's not like when we finished Infinity War, like
bro.
before Endgame, and we were like, they fucking lost. They fuck
Yeah.
what, like,
Well, like,
holy shit.
I'm looking here, just out of curiosity, and the first film in Phase 3 is Civil War. Like, that's how you start a phase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that movie just like, oh, that blew me away. Like, and I can sit and rewatch Civil War all the time. I just love, like, I love the Spidey story. I love the like Black Panther story. Obviously, Tony versus Steve is incredible, and everything else in between. But it's just, that movie is just what a kickoff to a phase. My God. And I think like that's kind of what I was hoping for. That we were going to get something like this movie was going to just blow up. I don't know
I
if they
agree.
like killing the Conqueror at the end of the movie. Like, obviously he's not dead, but it was just kind of like, it kind of just left it where it was like, "Ugh, well, like what's gonna happen now?" Like,
Right.
it was just too open blanket. Like, we don't know what's gonna happen. Whereas, if something happened where Kang got out, and Scott and Hope got stuck in the quantum realm, like that'd be like, oh shit, like what's coming next? Like he's on Earth now, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and you would have been like, geez, what's next? Like, when does this story continue? Everyone would be like really hyped for what's coming next. But
Or or at the very least, open a portal and send him somewhere else.
yeah, like a TVA
The
door opens, or something like connected,
Like, give us
or
something
something
else.
like,
Throw
yes,
him
yeah,
throw him like super heavy into the past.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
just throw, like do make him into something that's a force to be reckoned with, and that he'll come back eventually.
Hmm.
This whole like trapping him inside the container. Like, yes, we know he's gonna come back, but it's like it's one of those things of like, eh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine. He's in
we'll
there.
see that, we'll see that in a few years.
Yeah, we'll see
It's
him. We'll see him again later.
yeah, yeah, dude. Like, I don't know. What do you think of um, like I think there was talks of like the 838 is gonna like like again they mentioned incursions. There's definitely gonna be like an incursion. I think it's gonna be like 838 versus 616 sort of thing. Like, and I don't know
It's
if that's gonna
just
involve Kang or not. Or again, as I say, like it's all just so up in the air. Like we don't really, even after watching this film, know where it's going.
right. It to me, I think so many people are hung up on the 838 situation because that's the only universe we really got a number for, that
Yeah,
like we're that we were invested in for a short time.
yeah.
And unless they go into a past point of 838, all the Avengers there are dead. So
Or are
like
they? I don't think
I
they
s-
are.
I say they are, like it's done with, and it's the same thing with the multiverse of madness. There are points that are done that because of incursions they've already occurred, which
Yeah,
means that like fights have already happened.
yeah,
So like let's let's not worry about 838 right now. Let's worry about other universes. Like what if there's other universes that are just even crazier than 838, that have even crazier situations, that like, what if Thor was evil, like
yeah,
in that universe? Or what if we reached a point where like Wolverine didn't get his powers but someone else did? Like what if we go into the universe where, you know Peter Parker becomes the Hulk, and it's reversed, like Bruce Banner
yeah,
becomes Spider-Man. Like
yeah.
those are what if comics. Like Peter Parker has been the Hulk in comics before.
That's cool.
And but that version of Peter is fucking chaotic because he like now he's got anger issues, like even more
Yeah,
so. And
yeah.
so it doesn't work out for him as well as it should. So
Hmm.
like a lot of the what ifs are in terms of the Twilight Zone kind of situation of like, these are horrible things that happen. But in
Yeah,
some cases, they end up good. But like it's just cool to see all those things. That's why what if is so fun. That's why
yeah.
what if should have been much more fun than it should have been.
Hmm.
Like I had fun with some things, but because they took it too far and they turned it into this whole situation of like, okay, so now we can break the fourth wall. We can have this fight between the Watcher and
That was
Ultron.
cool as shit.
That was cool, but
Yeah.
like we didn't build enough,
Mm.
like in my opinion, to really like have that moment yet.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah.
gonna have a season two, right? We're gonna have
Yeah.
season two of
It's
What
coming.
If.
Hmm.
So where do you go from there? Like you've already broken the fourth wall. You have other stories to watch, yeah, but like, are we gonna have another big bad situation? Like like what are you gonna give us?
Well, like I suppose they could go to like what if season 2 they could just go to 838, and it's like it's a new Watcher,
I
it's a
would
new thing altogether, and then it's a whole batch of
see,
new stories not connected to the first season at all.
but that's the thing. It's like the Watcher is like a person that lives outside of the spectrum of different of the multiverse. Like he can see within and see all these stories because these are different versions of Earth that he's watching. And so like he can see A38 from that point.
Of
But I
course,
but I but I can agree with you on this. That's when I will care about A38, when we see a what if and we see A38. But I just want A38. That's all I want. Like all I want to do is for them to do a what if and do an A38 story. Nothing to do with Strange coming and like causing any issues, or nothing to do with them winning against with Scarlet Witch. I just want them to do a day in the life of like A38 at like before the events or something.
so what if Deadpool is in 838? What if like the Fox universe has been 838 the whole time, like and then they use that as like an incursion, and then maybe the surviving characters from that incursion go into Secret Wars, and
Then
then we get like the 616. I think something along those lines are probably what they're going to do, because I know they want to kind of give the Fox universe a farewell. Like the Fox universe is very sacred to Feige because that's where he started. He first
yeah,
started. He was producing the original X-Men movie, so it's like I think they're going to do something with that to the effect of something like Daredevil, or sorry, not Daredevil, like Deadpool, you know, going or hopping around the multiverse and ending up in that universe. Because we obviously know he meets a Logan, Like he has known a
Hmm.
Logan the whole time, but that Logan is a different. It could be a different Logan. It could be the same Logan. There's obviously the events of the Logan film are going to be still happen. They're going to still happen. So this is obviously what happens in Deadpool 3 is to take place before that.
Right. And I can see you're wanting to like really keep 838 in the spectrum. And if they can connect that together, I'm all for it. But like again, we have so many versions. Like we can you we I guarantee you, Finto, we will definitely see 838 again. I If they pair it with Deadpool, that's gonna be fun
Hmm.
for the fact that he can talk about like the situations that happened beforehand because of definitely though like it would be amazing, but at the same time, it seems like it's not possible due to the fact that there's no hanging vines or hanging like vegetation on the buildings as done by Reed Richards, unless you're talking about hundreds of years later when they've already like perpetuated the stuff or they have a new set of heroes and these are the heroes then. But at the same time, I think it's all like within the present time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I I
it's
don't know. Like you got to remember, like Wade has the time traveling tech. Like so,
true. So
this movie could literally take place anytime and any place.
right. So if that's the case, then I'm all for him like hitting up the 838 universe.
Yeah,
Because that's something that he can do in the time being. But if he's actually already in the 838, that'd be kind of weird for me, is what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah. No, no, for sure, for sure. Like, cause yeah, it's hard. I don't think it is, but I'm curious. Like the way they're doing the animated series, right?
Right.
And they have like Logan and everything in the animated series, and then it's kind of implied that that is the 838 because like you've got Professor X in the floating chair, and it's like, but then it's like we see Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and then we know Patrick Stewart's been Professor X in the Fox universe. So I'm like, is it linking together, or do we have multiple Patrick Stewarts out there? Like
Right. And
it's
we
very up
do.
in the air. Yeah,
We 100% do because I
James
believe that you were
McAvoy, of
saying
course.
yeah.
Yeah,
But that's a younger version of him, which they could put at
true,
any point as well.
true, true.
And from what I'm remembering that you've explained, Finto, like we're more than likely going to see Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart in Secret Wars.
Yes, yeah, I believe so.
So by all means, like it could just be a different version.
Mhm.
And Strange could be like, the last time I saw you, you were dead. And it's like, oh really? That's interesting. What happened? And like that
Yeah,
kind of like occurrence of like, you were killed by Scarlet Witch or like something more eloquent than that, and he's like, okay.
yeah,
Like, it's just
yeah,
those Marvel moments that we always get. Like, you were dead when I last saw you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, do you think like I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are on obviously the announcements from DC as well. Like, do you think like the whole DC thing is now going to be like a good competitor for the MCU, like the DCU and the MCU? Do you think they're going to clash? Because like, if you think like a lot, like 2025 is going to have a lot of movies coming out that year, as far as I know. There's going to be DC projects. There's going to be like rumors has it like Spider-Man 4 is going to be 2025, and we've got Kang Dynasty in 25, and then Secret Wars in 26, and I'm just like I really hope that it's kind of, friendly competition between the two, and it maybe makes Marvel bump up their game. There was a great TikTok video I was watching there, like some girl creator who was talking about, you know, the kind of downfall of Marvel in phase four, just with kind of decisions that they made in the real world with writers and all this sort of stuff and like budgets and stuff like that. It's a great video. I'll actually put it in the comments below this video. I'll put a link to it and anyone can watch it if they want. But it's it was a really good take, and she kind of just spoke about like how they're bringing in these like writers who are TV writers, and they're writing stuff that seems like even this movie like Ant Man Quantumania, it kind of feels like an episodic adventure, like it was kind of written for TV but just turned into a movie. And it does, it makes sense. Like, you know, they're getting writers from Rick and Morty and all this sort of stuff. Like, and it's like these guys aren't movie writers. Like, you know, like it's a different story to write a film than it is to write a TV show. And I
Mhm.
wonder, I don't understand why Marvel are doing this. Like, you know, if you go back to Phase 3, you know, they had like all these like incredible writers. Like I believe the same writer wrote like Civil War, Infinity War, like all these movies, like all the ones that were the best. It's like, why the hell aren't you paying that dude to just keep writing? You know, why aren't you getting guys like him to keep writing? There has to be like the best like movie writers in Hollywood like have to be interested in working for Marvel. Like, but they seem to be going with these people who their only experience is writing for TV.
Mhm.
Like the same dude who wrote this movie is going to be writing Kang Dynasty. Like, and like honestly, this movie was okay, but it wasn't incredible. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I agree
So
with I agree
I'm
with
kind
that.
of scared. I'm kind of scared at that fact that it's like shit. The next Avengers movie is going to be written by the dude who wrote this movie, and then the Secret Wars movie is being written by Michael Waldron, who is a Rick and Morty writer who wrote Multiverse of Madness. I really liked Multiverse of Madness. I think he did a great job writing that film, but a lot of people didn't. It was a very divisive film, and a lot of people didn't like it. So I just don't understand how or why Marvel are doing this. And then as well, it just seems like there must have been a decision made by Disney probably, but they must have had like a slate or like a time frame, and it's like we need 12 projects from Marvel to come out in the next 14 months or something like that. And they've
Mhm.
obviously had to spread the resources. Like we obviously heard all of the stuff with the special effects artists going on strike and saying that they're fucking working like 12, 14, 16-hour days and getting stretched way too thin. And you could see that in the content that we got. She-Hulk was awful. This movie, I think, should have looked way better. Like, I'm sure there's movies that came out 10 years ago, CGI wise, that look better than this. You know, it's kind of mad to think it in 2023 that, you know, we're getting movies that look worse now. And like some of the Phase 4 stuff was laughable. And like they had to go back and even touch it up. Like in like fucking Love and Thunder and stuff, like there was some really, really bad CGI in that, really bad CGI in She-Hulk. Um, and it's just like I don't understand why a $1 billion company aren't putting the money in, getting the best writers possible, making their own special effects teams, and like fucking like they need to double the amount of special effects artists that they have. Like
Right,
it
and
if they want to keep pumping out content like this, and I think you know Feige has confirmed that they're looking to pump the brakes a bit, which is obviously great. It's going to mean that we're not going to get as much content as we have, and I think you
mhm.
know for our podcast, it's you know it's not great to have less stuff to talk about, obviously, but you know if it means that we're going to start getting better movies and better TV shows, I'm happy to wait. Like you know,
Well, then in that point, we start delving into the comics.
well, like look, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. Like you know, next week on the cast, we're going to be back talking about the latest episode of The Last of Us. You know, we obviously had a bit of a break this week from The Last of Us, but you know, I mean, we've got like what 3, 4 episodes left of that to talk about, and you know, there's going to be other stuff to talk. Like we don't have to talk about Marvel all the time. Like you know, we got there'll be plenty of projects to talk about across the
Oh
board.
yeah, of course. But in all, like if we want to keep like that Marvel strength going, like I'm more than happy to start reading comics. We just have to pick a point, pick a series, and like I'm all for it. Um,
Absolutely,
but in
absolutely, and
turn,
like even DC comics, like we could talk about DC stuff. Like there's a lot of interesting shit about the DCU
hmm
that we could dive into as well. Like the Authority, for example. I saw that they literally, I think it on Amazon or something like that. They literally sold out of all of their comics. Like everything was sold. People just heard that this project was coming down the line, and no one had heard of them, and just bulk bought everything. Like so, like they like you can't get your hands on hardbacks for any of those stories.
I think from that perspective, it's because I really feel like DC fans, not DC comic fans, but DC fans, and like just for the movies and for like the shows and whatnot.
Yeah,
Those people, in my opinion, are starved for anything new
yeah,
because we've gotten like, and I've told you this in the last podcast, we've gotten like just you only have two boxes of cereal. You have Superman and Batman, and sometimes you get a third box, which is the JLA. And cool, that's fun, but like, there's more to DC than just those characters.
100%.
And And when they pushed out the Authority, and they're saying that the Authority is going to be like a series that like going forward, and that they're going to be introducing those characters, they're going to introduce Booster Gold and whatnot, like those things are going to fly off the shelves because it's like new people, DC's
Yeah.
new people, and we get to see them on the big screen, or we get to see them on like live on TV and whatnot. Like it's exciting. It's
Yeah.
like when we got Marvel series going on Disney Plus, like we were stoked, man.
Yeah.
Like I was having like, as much as Loki didn't really like give me that like itch that I needed, like it was still fun to watch because
Go
it was
back
a
and
Marvel
re
movie.
go back and rewatch Loki now. I
Hmm.
rewatched Loki just before Christmas because I was sick. I had COVID and I was in isolation for a couple of days and I had nothing to do. I rewatched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I did it for Hoffman. And while it was a tiny bit better, I still think the show was shit. I'm sorry. But Loki was really good on a rewatch. Really enjoyed it, and it was around Christmas time, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna watch Hawkeye," and I really enjoyed Hawkeye. I think you could do Hawkeye in like one sitting. You could do it in like 3.5 hours, and
Right.
I think that is probably going to be a Christmas tradition for me. I'm gonna sit and watch Hawkeye every year at Christmas time.
It's a
So
Christmas
like,
movie. It's a
yeah,
Christmas show now.
it's like a Christmas movie. It is like
Yeah.
so, and it holds up as well. Like when you binge watch those episodes, like one after the other, it's fun. Like Kate Bishop is
Hmm.
fun, and Hawkeye's cool, and it just works. And then getting to see Kingpin again, you're just like, oh, this is fucking great. So I think waiting for shows like that week by week, it kind of hurts them a little bit, especially when some of the episodes are slow in the middle and so on. But when you're sitting there and just watching them one by one, just giving it a good binge, it's good. It's good.
Well, it hurts when they're not hour 40 minutes to an hour long.
Yeah.
So that's why I think She-Hulk really hurt, because they weren't hour longs.
Hmm.
There was no reason for us to wait on a weekly for 30-minute shows.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, in terms of, like, let's say any of the most anticipated shows, like, the anime One Piece and others and other like animes that like we're all excited about, maybe even shows that you started watching that are live action, you know they're great, but like if they're not longer than 40 minutes, or if they're not longer than 30 minutes, it's like it's kind of drops off. Like I like having that long form of a show, and then having to wait a week on it, because then I have all this stuff to talk about. When I only have 30 minutes,
Yeah.
just give me 2 episodes a week then.
And
Like
30
don't
minutes and the 30 minutes is like fucking snail pace filler shit. Like that's
right,
what really starts pissing me off as well. It's like, hang on, I waited a week to watch this and nothing happened and it was shit.
right.
It's like, bro,
Exactly.
come on. And then it's like we have to wait another week and then the next episode is a bit better but not great. And like I know
And
we had these conversations when these shows were coming out live. Like, it's like, how the fuck are we waiting a week for this? And it's like that was all we got, and then we have to wait another week. It was just so frustrating to watch live. Like I remember us talking about it every Sunday, and it was just like, oh, it was such a struggle because it was like that just wasn't what I was hoping for.
right. And I agree wholeheartedly. I think maybe Hoffman talked about this. He was saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that just throw all the episodes out. Just do it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
give us all the episodes. If they're just gonna be 30 minutes long, like it's a fucking easy binge.
From a business perspective, though, that's not what Disney Plus want. They want people to keep their subscriptions live. They want them to be tuning back in every single week to watch them.
Right. But
And that's where they are. That's what they're focused on. Absolutely,
right.
like they're trying to have something on the air almost every week of the year to keep people's subscriptions live. And I believe, funnily enough, they lost like 2.5 million subscriptions in the last quarter of 2022, and some people were like trying to blame it on phase 4 of the MCU and how shit Star Wars is, and how bad Andor was and all this stuff. And in fact, basically they actually had cricket rights, and they lost the cricket rights, and cricket is just absolutely gigantic throughout half the world.
Hmm.
And obviously everyone, like, there was millions of people buying Disney Plus to watch cricket, and then when they got rid of those rights, they were just like, "Fuck this, see you later." But the people are trying to blame it on the MCU and blame it on Star Wars.
Well, and it's this perspective too, Finto, and we've all talked about this before. I think we're tired of Disney like having this safety net for every single thing that they put out on their like platform. Like we need exactly what you've told us before. We need a Disney After Dark section. We need something just for the adults. We need something that like gives adults more of a reason to stay in the Disney Plus channel.
Yeah.
And like as you can see from Amazon's perspective, like with their Prime Video and whatnot, like their subscription service,
Yeah.
they're just a conglomerate of other services. Like they
Yeah.
have their stuff, of course. They have their licensed, things that they can put out.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like I have like Paramount Plus, I have like, I have HBO Max and whatnot. Like, and you can put those on like Prime Video and they're
Yeah.
all in one section. And that's like kind of the thing nowadays is that you want all of your stuff to be put together in one spot so that you don't have to pull out of an app, go into a
Yeah.
new app, load it up and then like yes, my account and whatnot. Like it takes too long.
Yeah. Amazon doesn't work like that over here, actually, funnily enough.
Really?
Apple does, though. So if I open up my Apple TV and I click onto my Apple TV app or Apple TV Plus or whatever they call it, I can get Paramount. I can subscribe to Paramount. I can subscribe to Stars and other apps like that, and then it all
Mhm.
gets bundled together, and I can watch everything through the Apple TV app. But Prime Video over here is only just for Prime Video. That's it. So it's whatever's on Prime Video is all that's in the app. You can't subscribe to anything else.
Wow.
But then as well, so yeah, that's one difference. And then as well, Disney Plus over here is a lot better than it is for you guys because we get Hulu and FX all included in our Disney Plus app. So like
Right.
I have like tons of shit more than you probably have in your Disney Plus app because I've got FX, so I've got all the fucking Hulu shows and everything like that popping up in my app. So I think like, for me, the Disney Plus app is good because of for that reason. But I do understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, like it just feels like that what they're doing is they're trying to milk and keep the subscriptions going by making it kind of feel like cable TV where they have
Yep.
every Thursday or every Wednesday there's something new out.
And I I can agree. I can be fine with that if you have the content pumping out.
Yeah.
But you're not that
And
kind of
it's good.
service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even if it's to be completely fair, Finto, even if it's bad, as long as you have multiple things to watch, you can be like, well, that sucked. Well, let's watch the next thing.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things I like about binging is that like if it sucks, then it's like, well, there's another series that I want to watch. I can stop watching this. I can go watch something else.
Yeah.
It,
Sure.
like you have a smattering of of episodes that are already available, and that's what I like for binging. But in terms of like only feeding us weekly, you have to feed us every day on a weekly basis. That's who we are as humans. Like we have to eat. Like
Yeah.
we have to get our daily consumption.
100%.
The general population just wants things to come every day. Like it needs to happen every day. But as writers, as story writers, as directors and whatnot for different shows and things that you have to animate or you have to do live action for, the real world situation is like there's only so much effort that can be put before people get tired. And so they become overworked.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have all these situations where if they go on strike, then it's like, well, fuck, now we got to slow down production. So then
Absolutely.
it becomes a thing of like, well, who's getting hit with the whip harder? Who needs to get hit with the whip harder? And it's like, no, you don't need to do that. You just give us good stuff to eat, a good hearty meal, like an hour long, and then let us wait a week. Like House of the Dragon, I was happy every week. I was happy.
Yeah.
I was like, cool.
Ah,
I can't wait for the
incredible.
next episode. And
Incredible.
because you gave us good food
Yeah.
and you gave us an hour of it.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, HBO are like it's a different animal, bro. Like they're so
Yeah.
good. Content they put like and Last of Us, like it's probably definitely the most successful like game adapted content that we've ever gotten. And it's
Yes.
because
Yes.
HBO have like put in the proper effort to do it.
And it's live action.
Exactly.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like, do you have any other bits of news that you want to bring up? We're almost an hour and a half in, so
Well, I know that you're not a fan and you weren't thinking of watching it, but I watched the first episode of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
nice. Go on.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like it's just the style of it is fun. The character is fun to watch. Like it's it's obviously designed more to look friendly for kids, but because like I'm a Marvel fan and I like to watch things Marvel related, it was fun to
Yeah.
watch because it was part of the universe. Now, in terms of what they've started in the show itself, it's not per se going to like super out there and being like, well, hey, look, there's that character we've seen before and that character we've seen before. This established the origin of the character and her cohort,
Yeah.
and also had references to the Avengers in certain points. And like, who are you going to cry to the Avengers about this? Like, there's no heroes in this section. They're always in New York
Yeah.
doing like handling crimes there. Like, they're not going to come over here. And then they kept referencing Jersey, and I'm like, oh man, I feel I feel sorry for Miss Marvel.
That's
Uh,
hilarious.
and so
Is this
like
on
it,
Disney? Is this on Disney Plus?
yeah.
Yeah.
And the first episode was an hour.
Oh wow.
So like it was fun. I had a great time. I didn't think it was like annoying. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah.
Style, like it just felt fluid. It was fun. I'm definitely gonna watch another episode. That like I don't know if all the episodes are an hour, but I know that like first episode was fun, and
Yeah.
that's all I needed. So I recommend it for now until
Right.
I continue. Um,
Yeah.
there is an episode, like I looked further beyond into the that's kind of the reference is like one of the episodes is called the Beyonder,
Right. Okay.
and so she's going to meet up with the Beyonder.
Oh shit.
And so I don't know if you know anything about Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's a very short comic series, very short.
Never.
Basically,
Never read anything about it.
basically her name is Lunala Lafayette, and she, I think Banner or Amadeus Cho find out that she is the smartest person in the entire Marvel universe.
Wow.
And she also has an inhuman gene that has not activated yet, but she knows about it, and she avoids the Terrigen bomb, which that's why I'm so fucking adamant about the whole Terrigen bomb thing, dude. Like
Yeah.
that thing is that like Terrigen mist is so important. It's part of the Inhumans like storyline.
Yeah.
It's how they kind of push them, like try to push themselves forward, and they realize like that creates their like mutations and could possibly make them worse.
Yeah.
But like, so like in the comics she's avoiding that shit, but they changed it in the show, so now it's basically like she's incredibly smart. We don't know if she's an Inhuman yet, but she does end up opening a portal that like brings out Devil Dinosaur,
Right.
and they're not mind linked like they are in the comics yet. So I'm wondering if they're going to do that in the future, but ultimately like they're working together. They defeated their first villain. Like she doesn't have any powers per se. She's just incredibly intelligent, like Tony Stark. She can create gadgets. She can like basically deduce things. She's kind of like she's kind of like a mini version of Batman with but not as smart. Like not as like deductive
Yeah.
in the sense. She's crazy smart. And I just keep reiterating that because that's the point of the show.
I'm sold. I'll watch it.
So
You
the
sold it
only
for me.
the only thing I'll say is like it is a modern take. So
Yeah.
there is going to be like, we got to get your name out there, girl. Like we got to get you like,
Yeah.
because but she's poor.
Right.
So like I think it works in the sense of like we're gonna get your name out there. You're gonna have merchandise and stuff like that. You're gonna make money, but you're also gonna help the people.
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of works because like basically her best friend is going to be doing like that stuff for her, like her manager in the sense. And the show has already been renewed for a second season.
That's good.
So like I don't know if it's because like, you know, reviews, like inside reviews were like, fuck yes, this is great, or if they're just like, we really like this style and we're just going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
But I'm all for it. Like
Hell yeah,
I want to
dude.
see what happens next. And by all means, I like just wanted to say it is designed to look very cartoonish. So try to keep that in mind,
I
that
was
like
about to
that's
ask. I was about to ask what's the animation style like.
very cartoonish,
Yeah.
but it's very fun.
Yeah.
And it's very comic style. Because then you get like you get the bubbles, like the like any like the alert bubble, or you get like the thing, her goggles like have the they show like, you know, exclamation points for like look out, or like, you know, the
Gotcha.
power buttons or something like that, like all these
Yeah.
kind of thing, like question marks for like what, like, you know, stuff like it makes it kind of like it's like Spider-Man when you see his eyes like widen and shut, like he's like what are you talking about, like kinds of stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
That's cool.
for me being this excited to talk about just a show that seems to be like intended for kids, I like it.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely check it out. And the fact that it's like first episode's an hour and it will properly get you like dug into it, like, you know, I think that's the way they should be doing things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in. One thing I
Well,
want to talk about before we break up for the week as well
sure.
is did you watch the trailer for The Flash?
The newest trailer or the trailer from the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl one.
I
Well,
watched the trailer.
it was technically not the Super Bowl, right? It was like released before the Super Bowl, but yeah, it was released on Super Bowl Sunday.
Gotcha. Yes, I did.
What did you think?
That was great. I think it was really fun to watch. I know it's a lot of people are like foaming at the mouth because it's like Ezra Miller, but like, you know, I think this is going to be a send off as far as I can tell. I don't think they're really talking more about like keeping him.
Yeah.
I think they've already pulled so much money into this situation that they can't back out of this. So like they have to let this run forward.
Nah,
So
I
I
like what
think
you said there. Yeah, very good.
and
Pun intended.
so but it looks like it's going to be a fun watch.
I was blown away by the trailer, bro. Honestly. And
Yeah.
you know, I've seen people like kind of joking, like it's like, we can forgive Ezra. It's fine. He was only like he only beat up 7 women and stuff like this, like, you know. But it's like, yeah, I still think
You
he's
don't
done.
forgive that.
No, Jesus, no, absolutely not. But like, no matter, I think he's done no matter what. But I think what they've very cleverly done, and this is why I think DC could be off to a really good start here, is because this looks like a fucking great movie.
Mhm.
And it's like it's Flashpoint basically, and they're going to reset the timeline. But I would be curious, have they reshot the end and they're going to actually replace Ezra? Like, that'd be pretty interesting if they did that. But the way that they're like marketing this movie right now is they're just basically marketing it as a Batman movie featuring the Flash,
Mhm.
which is very clever because everyone's talking about Michael Keaton now. Like, there's so many people I've seen on Twitter. Like, I had no interest in going to see this film. I watched that trailer and Michael Keaton looks incredible. I'm going to see this for Michael Keaton. So it's Batman 89 featuring the Flash. And then
Right.
obviously Affleck looks great in there as well.
So
So yeah. Oh, bro, I can't wait. I can't wait. I was nerding out all over that trailer like crazy.
I really enjoyed it too. Did you see that TikTok that I sent you with like the Simpsons where they show the sheep?
Yeah.
You see the
Yeah.
heads?
Yeah. I saw
Ezra tries to come to the scene and he's like, out of the way, you.
yeah. We're not here
Just
for
give me
you.
Clooney. Or
Yeah.
not Clooney. Oh my God. Clooney's the other person. Keaton. God.
Yeah. No, yeah, no. Like, to be honest, I'm a like Flash is one of my favorite heroes. It's one of the first comic books I ever started collecting was the Flash. So I was going to see that movie no matter what. If even if it looked shit, I was going to see it. But the trailer blew me away. It was fucking amazing. And like, even like, I'm so pissed off about the Henry Cavill thing. But even I think Supergirl looked good in the film. I think it looks really
Oh,
good.
I really like Supergirl. I think
Yeah,
it's going to play out well. I think it's really nice to have a new character. This is exactly what I want. I want new characters to pop up. I want them
yeah.
to show up. They're important. They matter. They're in the world. They matter. So I want them to show.
It seems like they're telling the Superman story from Flashpoint, but they've replaced Superman with Supergirl.
Which is fine because they're in a different universe.
Yeah, like,
They're
but
on a different Earth.
in Flashpoint, it
It's
was
still
it was
Superman.
it was Kal-El who was
Yeah,
captured. He's like all skinny and stuff because he's never seen the sun and stuff like that. But
right.
it seems like they're doing that exact story, but with Kara instead. Which I was kind of annoyed when I heard that on, like, you know, heard it being talked about. But seeing this trailer, I'm kind of like, fuck, it looks cool. It looks
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Did you see people were upset about the logo, like the S logo?
Oh, because it's like Cavill's.
It's like slightly off. Apparently,
Yeah.
they're saying like it's not the same S. It's like, dude, it's
It looks
literally
close. Yeah, it
like
looks close enough to me.
it's close enough. Like,
Yeah.
shut up. Like it's Supergirl.
Do you think that because there's like a moment in the trailer where she's screaming at Zod, like, "What did you do?" Do you think that they're gonna actually like kill Cavill's Superman? Do you think like that? maybe Zod actually found him as a child and murdered him.
I mean, it'd be a great send off. I don't know about I don't know about the child thing. Like, is Zod known in the comics to kill children?
Well, like that's his mission. That's what he's trying to do. Because if you remember Man of Steel, um, the whole story was that
You're right.
the codex for the Kryptonians was put into Kal-El and he was sent off. So it's like I wonder in this version of Flashpoint, did Zod actually track down Kal before he got to Earth, kill him, and take it? You know, like is
I,
that the difference? Is that like the Flashpoint? You know?
yeah, and it could also be like he killed the adult version of Superman.
Yeah, no, I
And
hope that
so
doesn't happen. That would
you don't want to
really
see Cavill get killed?
no, absolutely not. Because Cavill like shot scenes for the film, but apparently they were cut. So you know, there's a scene in the trailer where you see Zod and he like whips out this little sword from his hand, and like it just looks like he's looking out at nothing, and people were like that. Cavill was definitely standing there, and they've like edited him out and stuff.
Mhm.
You know, and then like even like the image of Supergirl when she's flying up, it's like I wonder was that originally Cavill? You know, because it
Mhm.
would have just slapped so much better if Zod did these scenes with Cavill instead of Supergirl. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well, we'll
bro. Like,
see.
yeah, we'll see. I'm not gonna hold out hope. I really am. Like, I think it would be pretty crazy if Cavill did show up in this film, and like maybe they were kind of throwing people off. Like maybe this is how they try and debunk scoopers and leakers by saying like like get Cavill to announce that he's done, and then it's like, oh, actually he's not. Like that'd be fucking wild.
Right.
Me as a Cavill fanboy, I would obviously love that, but I don't know. Like I think I really do think that they're going in a different direction with it, and
Mhm.
like the fact that they're bringing like Ben Affleck back as well, who in my mind is an amazing Batman and a perfect Bruce Wayne, and they're doing a storyline where he's going to have like a 12 or a 13-year-old son who's like a teenage Robin. It's kind of like, why are you not just good? Just like, why are you going to recast? Why would you not just use Cavill because like, or use Affleck because like he'd just be perfect. Like he'd be perfect for
Mhm.
it. It hurts
I
me.
can agree. I can agree with that. I guess I need to rewatch Affleck doing Batman, but at the same time, I also kind of wish he had done a standalone Batman movie.
So do I. So
Because
do I.
I think that would have really driven me to what you're feeling. Um, I do like I do like Affleck as Batman. I think he looks very closely, like sometimes he looks closely to the animated series Batman.
Yeah, and I think
And
that was the goal.
yeah, and it worked out. I think his character portrayed pretty well. I think the design, like the storyline was a little convoluted. It's a little bit of like a really kind of situation, especially for when they realize that they have something in common. But all in all, like that movie was fun to watch in terms of seeing two heroes from the DC universe fight each other, which we don't normally see.
Yeah,
So that's how I'm going to put it. I'm not 100% set on Affleck, but I do like him.
yeah. I thought he was great. I really did. And yeah, like he was. Did you you still haven't watched the Snyder Cut? Have you?
No.
He's good in that. Watch the Snyder Cut.
All right.
He's really good in that. And they were kind of like I just wish like I wish for a lot of things with DC. I wish Cavill got his second movie, and I wish they did Justice League 2 and 3. Like Snyder
Mhm.
had a whole plan for like a Dark Side trilogy, and it was going to end with Affleck's Batman dying in the Nightmare Realm and stuff. It sounded amazing. Kind of sounded like
Mhm.
they were doing a version of Injustice, like which would have been fucking crazy. Like seeing Superman go evil would have just been so good. You know, like Injustice is probably one of if there's anybody listening to this or watching this who has not read DC's Injustice or played those video games, like that, it's some of the best DC stories I've ever read. Like they did 5 or 6 books of Injustice that like took place after the first game. And oh my god, like the stories are just so good. They just keep jumping into the future, and like uh Nightwing becomes Batman and Damian becomes the new Nightwing and stuff. Like it just like evolves so much, and it was just so good. And then Superman is just full blown evil because Lois dies. He ends up killing Lois, and oh my god, like it's insane. He becomes like the Emperor of Earth. Like it's just wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
And like that is definitely what Snyder was trying to build up. Like even back in Batman versus Superman, the first time we see the Flash, he's coming from the future. You were right about Superman this whole time. It's Lois, blah blah blah. Like, like they were definitely setting it up. Like, and just the fact that they didn't get to finish it just really always gets to me. It always, like, because I just feel that Cavill didn't get his proper go. Affleck didn't get his proper go. Like his solo movie, which I think they started developing, and Ben was going to star and direct it, and it was going to be Batman versus Deathstroke and Joe Magliano as Deathstroke. It would have been perfect.
That would have been fantastic.
So good, dude. So good. So it just really upsets me that didn't happen as well. Like, it's just DC have had such a shit run of it. I understand why James Gunn comes in and he's like, let's just fucking reboot like as much as possible. Yeah, it's rough, dude.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It is rough.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it at that for the week, dude. We're hour and 40 in. So, guys, thank you to anybody who was watching. I think I saw we got as high as like 15 viewers live here. So thank you everyone who popped in. And if you're watching this on a replay, leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought about Ant-Man and the Wasp. What did you think of the Flash trailer? And what are you looking forward to in 2023? We'll be back on The Last of Us next week. And I don't know what else we have. Well, I'm sure we've got The Mandalorian starting soon as well. So we'll be back on the Star Wars vibes soon as well. So yeah, there's going to be loads coming up. So until the next time, guys, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, blah, 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 all that stupid fucking YouTube shit. All right. Bye.